Hey guys, what's up? Chef EZ in the mic one more time. Thank you for joining Chef Talk. I've been craving Korean barbecue, guys. So today I took an effort. I went to my local Korean store, and I got pretty much all the best ingredients I could get to make it happen. My favorite is a marinated tofu, the glass noodle salad. I made my own little fresh spin to it. Marinated mushrooms. We got king trumpet, and we're using Shiimeji just to kind of balance everything out. And the only proteins that we'll be working with today is pork belly and ribeye steak. Doing Korean barbecue at home, it's all about preparation because the cooking process happens when all the family is here. So we're gonna start with marinating the mushrooms, and the reason is vegetables take a little longer time to marinate and to really absorb the flavor. As in Korean barbecue, when you have pork belly, ribeye, any type of meat, it seasons very easily. While it gets crunchy on the pan, you usually have soy sauce, pepper. I'm not doing all that. I'm making it kind of my style because I want my family to sit down and just eat. I don't want them to be picking around. That's kind of the funner part in Korean barbecue, but me, I like to take the extra step and make sure that everything's perfectly set up for my family, my friends, so they just get to enjoy the meal with me. So first we're gonna start with the marinade of the mushrooms. So like I said, we're gonna start with king trumpet mushrooms and Shiimeji mushrooms. So first we're gonna start with a little bit of the Korean chili paste. And I'm using barley instead of the actual original Gochujang paste, which is just the red chilies. I like the barley miso one because it's a little more subtle in flavor, but you still get that nice Korean element base to it. Sesame oil, a little bit of white vinegar. I'm using white champagne because that's the one I had in-house. Salt and just slightly black pepper to season at the very end, not in the marinade. So you just want the sesame oil, the grated garlic, the vinegar, and a little bit of the barley gochujang to really marinate your mushrooms. So what I'm doing with the king trumpet mushrooms, I am scoring lightly. So basically what scoring means is I'm just cutting, just because the mushroom naturally can be a little stringy. So by you scoring and after you cook it, it's gonna be easier to cook. The bite's gonna be nice and it's gonna deteriorate in your mouth. And also the marinade will penetrate deep inside the mushroom. So scoring is not just to make it look pretty, it has actual lot of chefy purposes. Marination, cooking time, it's better. And then when you eat it, it's an easier chew. It's nice and subtle and it's easy. So now we're marinating the Shiimeji mushrooms, and those mushrooms are very straightforward. So basically what you're gonna do with that, you're just gonna take off the bottom stems. It has some dirt in there. You don't need to wash them with water just because they're naturally really moist. They already can have a lot of water in them. So as you remove only the stems, just make sure when you cut through, move the dirt aside, and then break the mushrooms. Break them with your hands. You don't need to do anything with the knife. That's very straightforward. And just also drizzle the marinade in the mushrooms. Toss salt and pepper at the very end, like I said, just so the salt and pepper will bring out the flavor. So hey guys, when you have the tofu, I bought medium firm Korean tofu. My family's not big on tofu, but they do enjoy it in small portions. So I bought this little block. And the marinade is very straightforward. Sesame seeds, the barley gochujang, green onions, sesame oil, a little bit of olive oil, and just a tiny splash of vinegar to really balance out and make the marinade a lot more complex, not just one element. You know, if you just use sesame oil, just use sesame seeds, green onions, everything will be one-dimensional. The vinegar will really round everything off. So basically, very straightforward. Make sure your onions are cut very thinly sliced. Toasted sesame seeds in there. Mix the mixture very well. Once everything's mixed, add the tofu and just lightly fold. What I mean by fold is just lightly. You don't want to bruise your tofu. You don't want to break it. If you break the tofu, then it's gonna look mushy and it doesn't look as attractive. Try to cut it as consistently as you can. It's for your family and friends, so everything should be just okay with that. Make sure the tofu sits and marinates also for a little bit, just because by nature, tofu contains a lot of water. Marinades usually take a long time to really penetrate the tofu. So you wanna make sure that you marinate it ahead of time, just so your tofu is nice and tasty. Put it in the fridge so it stays nice and cool and it'll be delicious. So one of my favorite things in Korean barbecue, guys, is all the salad options you have. From the mixed greens, from the glass noodles, kimchi, every single salad you can think of. But my personal favorite is the glass noodles. So I'm just doing a simple rendition of that salad. I have pre-cooked my noodles ahead of time. They cook in 5 minutes in hot boiling water. You don't need to add salt to this. Just because there's a lot of condiments going in here, you adding salt to the noodles can make it too salty and will throw everything off balance. So with this particular noodle, I like keeping just simple, straight, hot boiling water. Cook them for 5 solid minutes, bite one. If you want yours a little more mushier, let it cook a little longer. With these noodles, there's a nice range. You can cook it a little al dente or still be a little hard on the chew, which is great. But for me, I like mine to be nice and mushy. The texture is just beautiful and it just melts in your mouth. It's incredible. So basically, the vegetables added in there are carrots, celery. We're gonna do raw pine nuts. I just love the nuttiness of pine nuts in there. Green onion. And we're gonna also add in there toasted sesame seeds, white vinegar, sesame oil, and a little splash of soy sauce at the very end just to kind of marry everything together. Salt and pepper, toss everything together. Make sure the salad's nice and fresh. Let it cool down for a while. Toss it again, taste afterwards. Salt and pepper at the very end to just bring all those flavors together and just make that salad super sexy, nice and chill. The secret to this salad is adding a little bit of sugar and salt just to kind of make everything nice and round. I also added a little bit of mirin, and all the recipes will be in the description below. So basically, guys, on the pork belly, I took more of a traditional approach to this. I didn't want to really like take away from Korean barbecue. I love everything about it. So it's just kind of my version to that. So I'm using barley gochujang, a little bit of sugar, sesame oil, toasted sesame seeds in there, just to kind of add a little extra flavor to it. I'm cutting the pork belly thinly, just because I don't like waiting that long when I'm sitting with my family. I like cooking everything, putting it on the table, and everybody just munching it really hard. I'm doing thin sliced pork belly, or at least as thinly as possible as you can get it with your own knife. Mine is very sharp, so I'm able to get a nice even consistency. Make sure you fold in the marinade and let it sit just for a couple 10, 15, 20 minutes. Like I said, pork belly has a lot of natural fat, and in the cooking process, all those flavors are just gonna marry. So for the beef marinade, guys, it's even more straightforward than the pork belly one. I'll have full descriptions down below. So basically with the beef, I'm just using white onion, thinly sliced, as thin as you can. You don't want the onion to really overpower the beef or the marinade. And I'm using mirin, soy sauce, and just a little bit of sugar. I want the marinade to be a little sweet. A little tiny bit of sesame oil. You don't really have, that's all optional. I like the sesame oil because it adds another element of flavor. And basically, guys, once you have everything already set up, you have your salad, you have your meat, you have your mushrooms, and whatever else you like to make for your Korean barbecue, your salad mix, have it in the fridge, let it sit for a couple of hours, and then just wait for company to come over and just start grilling. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you for joining Chef Talk. If you like what you saw, please comment below. Follow me on Instagram. If you have any suggestions or anything that you'd like me to do, please let me know. Leave me comments. Thanks.